Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. This is Fishman log number 204, and I wanted to start off today by talking about these guppies. They were raised exclusively on what I would call prepared foods. First off, they got ground up flake food, and most importantly, they got decapsulated brine shrimp. They didn't get any of the live foods I have. No paramecia, no cyclopses, and no hatched brine shrimp. And I wanted to show you guys, how well they did. But then again, it's spring, and every year or two or whatever, in the spring, one or two of my aquariums turn bright green. And I don't mind it. I think it looks nice, and I used to use this green water to feed to various microorganisms that I'm growing, Daphne, that sort of thing. But I can't really show you how well these guys are doing when you can't really see them. So I decided to put a diatom filter on here. It's been a while since I've shown you how these work. I do use these for clients quite regularly. Well, whenever one goes off, usually again in the spring. And it doesn't take very long. So this is the first charge. That's what I call when you put the diatom powder on the membrane. As you can see, the membrane is getting quite green, and this is an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour after I put the filter on. And yeah, it sucks it out really fast. I'm going to show you a couple more clips here. I took off the pipe that feeds back into the tank because it's important to keep an eye on how well the flow is going. At some point in time, that you see over on the left-hand side is going to slow right down to almost a drip, at which point, of course, it's really not doing anything anymore, and it needs to be cleaned out and recharged. So that will happen. Again, I'm not entirely sure how far to take this, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you these guys, and they're doing really quite well. I have one or two in there that I'm going to call culls. They are, well, either have a bent spine or don't quite have there's one right there in the middle. She's going to have to come out. I'll put her into another aquarium with a bunch of culls that'll just go to a client's tank. One of the daycares, they just want lots of fish swimming around, so it doesn't matter if she has a bent spine, and if she has babies there, it will never enter into the gene pool. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as these guys are concerned. I mean, they're doing really quite well. I'm not looking at anything other than structure here, because color is, especially with my fish, depending upon who the parents were, and I don't really monitor that a whole lot. I want variety, so I don't really care if they come out olive drab, as long as they're healthy, active, proper finnage, of course. And most importantly, I wanted to look for any kind of defects that might occur due to malnutrition. Now, if they all had curved spines, that would be a problem, but one or two is fine, because I get one or two in a general population of all these every time I breed them, because it's just, unfortunately, the luck of the draw for them. They are quite variable, so I don't get very many of them, but they do exist. So these are all good body structure. Some of them have some nice color. Some of them might actually be used for any kind of breeding purposes later on. But again, like I said, there's no curved gills. There's no indication of bad fins. There's no disease. They're not weak in any way. And so, yeah, I think as far as guppies are concerned, raising them on decapsulated brine shrimp with powdered flake food is perfectly fine. I'm quite happy with the results. Of course, there's going to be a lot more of this coming. Speaking of raising fish, these are the zebra danios. These are the ones that were raised on first off paramecia and then moved over to hatched brine shrimp. They're growing really quite well. There's a couple in there that I would call culls, but again, it is a very low number, and I wasn't really expecting there to be any issues with these, of course. The most important one are the ones next door, and they are raised on just decapsulated brine shrimp after the paramecia. One of the things I want to point out here, though, if you looked onto the left of that tank, there are hydra in there, and I find I get hydra in aquariums, like that sort of level of hydra, only when I feed hatched brine shrimp. And this is decapsulated, and they're the same sort of treatment, same plants, everything else. There might be one or two in here somewhere. Actually, I can see a couple there now, but it doesn't get to anywhere near the same population. So these guys are 3 weeks behind in size, but I haven't noticed any problems with them. There's a lot fewer of them, but that has nothing to do with how they're being raised. It's because when I was breeding them, I ended up, this is the second batch, didn't have as many eggs. I mean, this is roughly the population that it was before. I'm not raising fewer of them because they didn't survive or whatever. It is simply because of the fact that when they're being raised, I didn't take into account the fact that they already spawned for about a week. So yeah, anyway, that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep repeating these experiments until I'm positive that things are really good. But so far, it's looking up for decapsulated. These are my Tuxedo variatus. I decided finally to take out pregnant females and give them their own aquarium to have babies. These two have had their babies. This one here, I'm positive of because there was some in the filter. I couldn't quite show it to you at this point, but there's going to be another clip coming up shortly, and that is showing us some that are swimming around in the filter. And they're being fed, well, obviously on ground-up flake food. And I decided to go with decapsulated brine shrimp for these guys, simply because it's so much simpler. So I'm really hoping that it's going to work out well for them. So this is the next clip coming here now, and you're going to see, there he is. This is magnified quite a bit, so not very clear, unfortunately, but yeah, baby platy. So there you go. They're doing really quite well. I mean, they're eating. He's got a belly, so there's about 3 or 4 of them in this filter, and I assume there's going to be more of them in the aquarium itself. I'm going to keep an eye on it, of course, and we'll see and give you updates on that as time goes by. But yeah, so far the breeding experiments as far as decapsulated brine versus brine shrimp are doing quite well. I'm very happy with them. There are a bunch of other changes I'm making in the fish room. One clip coming up here in a little bit will show you a little bit more of that. But for the moment, I don't know how they do this, but this is another how did you get in the aquarium fish. This is obviously a baby gardener eye, and I have not added any gardener eye to this aquarium. None of the plants have been moved around either, so I don't know how whatever egg he came from got in there or not. So anyway, this is the last thing I wanted to show you today. This is the Big Brother filter that I had up in the 7-footer. That is in the process of being completely turned over to running on the sump I have there, and this is going to be over here. I am trying to get as much room as possible in my aquariums because I have an awful lot of well, fish I'm breeding, and they need an awful lot of space, so I'm doing a lot of rearranging, and hopefully in the future vlogs you'll get to see more of that sort of stuff. So thank you for watching. Leave comments, let me know what you think about all this, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.